Thin Ice with Amy Freeze, brought to you by Floored Media, located in Rockville Center, New York. For all your pro studio needs, check out flooredmedia.com. Are you sure that I should be doing a podcast?
You were made for podcasts.
I mean, Jay, how long have you had the studio here?
Let's see. We started building it probably about 2.5 years ago.
And I think you had barely just gotten the space and you're like, I'm going to build a podcast studio. You got to come out.
True. And
2.5 years later.
Well, I'm excited you're here, starting off a whole new venture.
Yeah. I want to tell everybody, the way I met Jay Belsky is you were doing some special projects, I should say, for local surfers in Rockaway, Long Beach, the Scootins, a couple different people. And you're the guy shooting the video, taking the pictures and stuff. That's how we first met, was on the beach.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And your background, was it always in still photography, video? How did you get started in media?
You know, we could talk about this probably for hours, but my background is more in like electronics and automotive. Like I worked in automotive for a decade.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I had a custom car shop in Lindenhurst, and then when I was living in Florida, I had like a automotive window tinting and car stereo business.
I always know that you've had cool cars.
Right.
What are the cars that you have right now?
I have a 55 Chevy pickup. I got a 66 Impala. I got a right-hand drive, old school Mini Cooper that I had imported from Wales. I got an old Mercedes. I have a bunch of stuff.
Where do you keep these cars, dude? I didn't know you had that many cool cars.
I mean, I live in an apartment building as well, but I'm just blessed that they have a lot of parking under the building, so they just let me, have a lot of stuff.
This is a big budget. You're on Long Island, parking is expensive, so you've got to have a budget. Okay, so podcasting studios are going well for you. That is the bottom line.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you made a transition. Was there something like you wanted a creative expression about it? What got you into doing the media side of this?
Early on, like you said, I was working with the Scootins and the surf camps in Long Beach, and like through them, I worked with a lot of different media and like news outlets. That's how we met. But I was always a video guy, and I just feel like it was always a good way to meet people, a good way to experience things. Like, you get to do a lot of things if you're covering events and, other people's projects and whatnot. So
right, it exposes you to unique opportunities. But I remember distinctly, and I think the trailer that was on Long Beach that I first met you at, I think, did that house surfboards, or what was that trailer that I first met you in? Because then you had set up some sort of editing type system. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I was at Will Surf Camp. So before the camp was like in that little boardwalk concession stand, they had a trailer in a parking lot on Long Beach Road. He got me my own little trailer back in the day, and I would sit in there and just be able to edit and work and have like a beachside little office, which was cool.
That's awesome. Now you've grown into this beautiful podcast studio, and you've actually done some cool projects already here. The idea of a podcast studio, was it because you wanted to do podcasting yourself? Was it because it was getting popular? How did you say, hey, this is a way for me to sort of branch out and make money?
I knew there was a need because so many people have asked me to help them make commercials, help them film things. And it's also like everyone wants to make some type of, I guess they call it content these days, but they don't know about lighting or have the equipment or have a space. So I pretty much built this whole place around the premise of you don't need anything. You could just come in here. I have all the gear. I walk you through everything, and you can get done here. You can do product reviews. You can do podcasts. We can do live shows. Like this facility could handle anything you wanted to do.
I mean, if someone comes in to do a podcast, has anyone we should maybe look into this. We could do a podcast about nothing.
Right.
I wonder if there is any shows called a podcast about nothing, because we could do a podcast about nothing and just start talking like we are right now. And boom, it could be like Seinfeld famous. I don't know.
Oh, it's funny. I have something on my YouTube channel, and I called it the Friend Zone, and all it is just me just talking to my friends about nothing, pretty much.
Okay.
So
okay, good. I like it. It's a concept. So
yes.
For me, you're like encouraging me to come out to the studio. I decided, okay, everybody else has a podcast. I'm going to jump on board and see if it works. And I came up with this idea called Thin Ice, because I feel like most of my life has been thin ice. People see the package on the screen, right? They see the package of everything's going fine. This person's on TV. There must be a lot of glamour involved. But in reality, very human, very close to the edge, close to the brink, close to the breakthrough at any moment. So Thin Ice is the title that I came up with. And it goes okay with Freeze, right?
I love it, actually.
Yeah. Thin Ice with Amy Freeze. So that's the idea. And then I'm going to be like you and invite a lot of my friends in the beginning to be on, so that I can introduce them and also find out a little bit more about them. And I think there's something about podcasting where people reveal a little bit more.
Definitely.
Than even they would if they were with their friends. I mean, there's something about it. What is it?
I don't know. I just feel like when you get like maybe wrapped up in conversation, you kind of forget that everything's around, all the cameras, and you feel a little more open maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Tell me some of the podcasts that you've already had come through the studio, Floored Media Studio.
Well, I got to talk about like my anchor, like my Macy's of podcasts. He's been with me since I opened day one. It's Hockey Night in New York.
Hockey Night in New York.
Yep. Sean has been producing this podcast, I think, for 8 years.
Wow.
He started off audio only. It's an Islanders-based hockey podcast. Then he moved to video. He was doing it in his house. And then he found me when I first opened through a mutual friend. And he during hockey season, they go live here every Sunday night on Twitch and YouTube through hockey season.
So see, there might be something to do with ice or cold that is got some synergy going here, because you got a hockey show now, you've got Thin Ice.
True.
Maybe there's some momentum there. Also, I know the ladies have been coming by here too. The famous ladies, are they housewives, I think?
Oh yeah. We have our mutual friend Ingrid Dodd.
Right.
She's doing a new podcast with her two friends, Dana and Sharon.
Okay.
Called Rebranding Menopause.
Rebranding Menopause.
So
okay. Hockey
I get
to Rebranding Menopause. It's any topic goes, right?
Yeah. So I get to sit here for an hour, a couple times a month, and listen in these headsets to women talking about all things menopause.
Have you learned anything?
I have, but I don't. Okay. I feel weird talking about it.
That's awesome. Also, I'm wondering if businesses, because it seems, again, everybody's trying to get into the podcast. Are a lot of businesses saying, hey, we should add a podcast? It used to be, hey, we should add a website. Now everybody has a website no matter what. Forget business cards, have a website. Now people, I feel like they're adding a podcast to their business plan.
I mean, a lot of things are happening in this space in general. I mean, a lot of businesses want to add video content to everything. They want to add, pop-up videos. They need like small video segments for social. But also, I've been seeing a ton locally of like other podcast places like this trying to open. And, it goes both ways. Like you can open a place, but like when it comes to here, like I got to really rely on my decade, of experience of like filmmaking and being a photographer, where a lot of these other guys are out there. They run into Best Buy, they buy a couple things, and then they buy sponsored ads on Instagram, and they say, hey, I'm gonna come to my podcast studio. But like, this is just like a byproduct of me working in this industry for 10 years.
Right. And you've got pretty much everything covered. If someone calls you, you can take them from start to finish doing all the processes. And there are a lot of pieces. It's not just like you sit down in front of a microphone and go. Let me just tell you, people, lighting is everything. Okay. Lighting is everything.
You look good.
So, yeah, exactly. So that is very, very important. But you want a place where you can find everything. I can see why it's popular and people are starting a business, but just like everything else, just like going to the right nail salon, just like going to get a haircut that's great, you've got to go to a place that has the experience so that you turn out with a good product too, because you don't want to waste your time.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Anything else? What else are you doing besides? I know what I talked about. At the studio, you do have 3 pairs of sneakers on display. Tell me about the 3 that you got on display, and then we'll go to how many shoes you actually have, which is more than me.
Well,
I'm sure of it.
Well, it's as a kid, I love skateboarding, and then also I was like I guess I still am or was, but like an avid sneaker collector. I'm sure everyone knows Paul Rodriguez. That's who came last year, but it was funny because Paul has a videographer that lives with him, travels with him. This guy called Spanish Mike, and Spanish Mike has roots in Suffolk County. So it ended up that Mike is friends with this guy named Jay, and they all know our other mutual friend Sammy that owns Bunger out east, the surf and skate shop. So they all came to Long Island to go, I guess, visit Mike's family for the holidays, and they all came here and they did a podcast here.
He signed a couple pairs of shoes.
It was pretty crazy. And then they were coming, so I brought 3 pairs of my old P rods for Paul to sign, and he did very nicely.
That's very cool. How many pairs of sneakers do you have?
I started selling them because the kids are going crazy for them. But I was in a sneaker magazine. I don't know, probably in 2012, because I think I owned somewhere around 1,100 pairs of sneakers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How good does it feel to say it out loud?
Yeah, it's, about 1,100 pairs
of sneakers.
And I had how DJ Khaled now, he had that whole thing built in his closet. He had a whole room. I built something like that probably 10, 12 years ago. But
tell me how you've scaled down.
I don't know, man. I just started selling them. Because it's and it's a lot of them were never worn. They were all the old Dunks in their boxes, brand new, all size 10, 10 and a half. And they were just I saw on eBay, they were going for crazy prices. So I'm I'm never going to wear these at this point because I've had them for so long already. So I was you know what? Let me just be an adult and just cash maybe my investment in, because I bought them all brand new when they came out. So I paid $80 a pair,
Is there something that you haven't done in the media space that you want to do? Do you have an aspiration? Because you've actually been involved, I think, in some films and documentaries already. You've been a part of tons of TV shows that have been, filmed. Do you have anything on the docket that's out there? I want to do this someday. You can check off the Amy Freeze podcast. Okay, that
was on the top of my list because I've been asking you for years. But I don't know, listen, traveling and capturing crazy things, like I said, I've been lucky to travel with Will, and he's brought me to some crazy places like Nazaré.
Talk about Nazaré, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
I love Nazaré. When I first went there in 2015, I knew I wanted to move there, and I still kick myself for not buying a small house or an apartment there. But yeah, that place is just
where they get 60-foot swells and big surfers go for big waves.
That's the home of the documentary 100-Foot Wave that my friend Andrew Cotton is one of the lead characters with Garrett McNamara. But yeah, listen, just traveling, being a media person.
The thing about being in media is you don't only get to go and experience these things, which are cool and are unique, but then you can take it and share it with other people, which is a bit of magic in a way.
I really love what I do lately. I feel I don't know, like back in the day when I was customizing cars, that was always fun. We would take it apart, put on body kits or whatever else. We were working with Highline customers, but I don't know, the car would roll out, it would look sick. We'd take some pictures of it, but I don't know. I just feel lately, I feel I feel very rewarded. When I, publish something and other people can see what I created, and I don't know. It's a good vibe.
Tell me about any podcasts you've done yourself they're out there, going to be out there that you've done.
When I first opened, it was a mix of things. I needed content, and we needed to make things. We actually made about 30 plus episodes of Sober Sundays, which was a mutual friend, a friend of a friend, Mike. He was he's an addiction counselor in Long Beach. He never hosted anything in his life, and he just came in here and sat where you're sitting, and he just brought in one after another, people that he was counseling through the years, and we did about 30 people, and their stories were all crazy. We went from alcoholism to you losing, a sibling, and a mother lost 2 of her children. And then we had a guy on who was he was addicted to crack, and he was telling us all his stories, and they were all here, and they were all sober at least 6 months, which was nice. And that was super rewarding. I would love to reboot that show.
Yeah, that would be a very cool one. I don't know if you know this about me. I've got a lot of vices, which I'm not going to disclose right now, but I will tell you this. I have never had alcohol before. I've never had a sip of alcohol in my whole life. I also have not had coffee before, nor have I smoked a cigarette.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting, right? A lot of caffeine over the years doing early morning TV.
I don't know how you wake up so early. That's crazy. Today you made me wake up at 7, and I was already oh my God, how am I going to do this?
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Well, this is a good way to kick things off with Floored Media. Thank you so much for creating this studio. It's absolutely beautiful. Congratulations to you. And I hope that not only does it continue with the success that you've already seen, but even more coming your way. So, surf's up.